Hey, it's good to have you back on Woodworking with Wes today. Have you got a small bathroom? In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a vanity that fits perfectly into a corner. Getting the best fit is super important, and I'm going to guide you step by step to make sure that everything looks great and works well. This is a fun project, even if you're new to woodworking. I have drawn the vanity out full size on a piece of 1/4 inch MDF. The round circle represents the sink that we'll be using, and the 45-degree face is the sink cabinet. These cabinets off to either side are just banks of drawers that will finish out our vanity. I have used this drawing to determine all of the sizes that we'll be using in order to build this cabinet. After I planed my solid oak down to 13/16, I used my rip blade and cut all my pieces into the widths that I need. With a stop block attached to my fence, I'm getting ready to cut my rail pieces on my saw sled. With my face frame pieces all cut, I'll now be using my Kreg boring jig to drill holes to assemble my face frame. In assembling the face frame, we apply a little bit of glue to the end of our rail piece. Put it up next to our stile, clamp it to our bench. Using pocket screws that are specially designed for pocket holes. I put it together just like that. And we'll go ahead and get the rest of the face frame put together. I now have all of my face frames put together. This is the drawer section, one of the drawer sections that go on either side of the sink. Let me turn it around to the back side so you can see how I put it together. These are the pocket screw holes that I drilled. These are our rails, our stiles, and that's how we hook them together with just the pocket screws. There's one on each side. This is the face frame for the sink section itself. Again, put together with pocket screws from the back side. I want to show you the end of it just so you can see the stiles, rails. So the stiles are cut on a 45-degree. I'm going to turn it like this so you can see. There'll be a corresponding 45-degree cut on my end panel that I do. And I'll show you that in just a minute. And that's what creates the 45-degree face of my sink cabinet. I'm going to be using white, 3/4 inch white melamine on both sides for the interior of my cabinet. We're going to be trading out the rip blade that I used for cutting my solid woods, and I'm going to be installing an 80-tooth melamine blade for cutting our melamine stock. Let's get ready to do that. This is our 80-tooth melamine blade. When you change it out, you have a flange that goes against the blade, and then the nut that goes on the arbor. And then you have have the wrench that comes with the saw, and you tighten your blade down good and tight. Okay, and then I always set the blade back down. I'm going to install my zero clearance throat. Bring our blade back up. And that's when we'll get ready to go. Okay, let's cut some melamine. I'm using my drawing that I made to determine the sizes. This is the floor to our sink section. It will be cut down to 22 3/4 by 22 3/4. I'm just going to go ahead and make the cuts that I need to make now, and then when I get ready to make the angle cut, I'll show you how we do that on the face of the side panels for our sink. Our blade is set at 90 degrees and we need to have it set at 45 in order to make our angle cuts along the side panels of our sink. With my blade set at 45 degrees, I'm now ready to cut the front angle on the side panels of our sink section. With my melamine blade set back at 90 degrees, I'm going to cut the rest of the melamine parts for our 3 cabinets. Our sides are 30.5 inches tall, and then the other corresponding pieces will be cut to fit based upon the full-size drawing that we made. So I got all these pieces to cut, and I'll get that taken care of now. We have our cutout of our sink cabinet all done now. These are all pieces that go to the sink cabinet. I'm going to explain what each one of these pieces is and how it fits as we go through the assembly. Like I say, here is our face frame. These 2 little end panels that are going to be part of it, we'll set those off to the side, and we're just going to assemble the main part of the cabinet right now. And like I say, I will explain each of these pieces as we go through. This is the floor of our sink. This is one of the sides. This is our 45-degree face. And this is the corresponding 45-degree cut on the face of our panel that I was telling you about. What we're going to do is we're going to nail this end panel to the floor right down here flush with the bottom. We'll start by just using our 18 gauge 1 3/4 nail or 1.5 nail. And we do this to line up, get everything aligned properly. That just helps me make sure that I have everything aligned properly. I'm flush with the bottom. Our end panel is flush with the bottom of our cabinet, nailed through here. And then what I'm going to do now is I trade out my nail gun for an 1 3/4 medium crown staple. And the staple is actually what holds this cabinet together with the strength that it needs to be permanent. Okay, this stretcher right here is cut the same size as the floor of our sink, but it goes at the top as a support for the face frame, and it will be nailed in right here. I'll do that next. This is kind of tricky because I have to hold it with one hand good and solid while I put a nail in it with the other. But I think we've got it. There we go. All right, now we can line up the bottom side and finish nailing it. And I'm just using 1.5 18 gauge brads to nail this in. Okay, we'll nail on the other side now, and we'll do this standing up like this because there's no support for the side, and we'll just make sure that we keep our nails flat. Just like that. Same on the back. And then we'll go ahead and finish nailing it in just like we did the other one, and we'll nail this top piece together so that we complete our support up top. We're now looking at the back side of the sink cabinet, and we have to have a support in this back corner, not only to make a support for the countertop when it goes on, but someplace to nail the back when we put it in. So I made a little L-shaped piece. I have 2 pieces of melamine, and I nail it on just like this. And I'm going to slide this over to the edge of my table and nail up from underneath. Now we want to, got to be very careful. Last thing you want to do is to nail into your finger. So I get my fingers back out of the way. We don't want to come out anyway, but we just want to make sure we're not in the way. Like that, and like that, and then one over to the other side like this. And now that's nailed in. And we'll go ahead and give that more nails and secure when we get a little further along. All right, we have the sides put on, the bottom, our top support pieces right there, and our back support piece. Before we go any further, I'm going to nail on 1/2 of our 1/4 inch back. That will make it rigid and hold it square while we complete the rest of the assembly. I nailed the back on with 18 gauge small crown staples, just this size right here. I cut my back a 1/16 of an inch short and narrow, and then I made sure that I was flush on the bottom and the outside edge, and then that helps me square up the box of my cabinet, and the back helps hold it rigid and square by doing that. I'll put the other side of the back on when I do the final assembly. This is the inside of our sink, and you can see it's now becoming a nice white closed-in sink box. This is where our plumbing will be and our sink up top. This cabinet sticks out a little bit from the 2 drawer sections that fit to the side of it, and so there has to be a small piece of finished panel. We're going to be nailing this on like this, and then our face frame will fit over the top and complete the look of our finished edge. I'm going to go ahead and nail on these 2 little 1/4 inch panels with 23 gauge headless pins, and then we'll nail the face frame on afterwards. With our little end panels nailed on now, we're ready to nail on our face frame. We'll run glue around the rest of our face frame, and then we'll nail it on just like that with 1.5 inch Brad's face nail, putty, and sand. And then our corner cabinet will be ready to sand out. When I put the face frame on, I just center it on top of my end panels so that I have there's a little bit of overhang built in so that my face frame has room to sand down to the level of my end panels. And so I just make sure that I'm just like that, and then flush with the bottom of the cabinet. And then the same thing up top here, making sure that I'm even side to side. Okay, and I'll go ahead and finish nailing that on. Okay, that's the final sand on the cabinets. We have all 3 cabinets put together. I've sanded them out. We're going to be doing a whitewash finish, just a Minwax. I'll show you that in just a second here. Let's just do it, but we have all 3 cabinets put together. We've sanded it out to 150, and our whitewash finish will go on next. We'll start off by blowing our cabinet off, getting the dust off of it. The stain that we're using is Minwax whitewash. So it's very just a straight off the shelf color, and we'll be applying with a staining sponge and wiping with a paper towel. So let's just show you how we do this. Get a little bit of stain in our sponge. And we just apply it like that so that we get a good stain on the wood. And then, like I say, we come back with our paper towel and we wipe it like that. And there's our whitewash finish right there. Now I'll go ahead and finish staining everything, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put a clear coat, top coat on it. That's going to be a nice whitewash finish, be very light color, and it'll be very nice to put in a bathroom. I hope you've enjoyed our vanity build, and we're going to see you next time on Woodworking with Wes.